Agreements on the sidelines. Back and forth, heated back and forth, yelling at each other.
A toxic atmosphere is brewing on the Indiana Fever sidelines, and it just hit an absolute, record-breaking boiling point. When a pro franchise lands the greatest generational superstar in basketball history, you expect them to treat her like gold. The bare minimum is that coaches protect her, nurture that genius, and build a culture rooted in real mutual respect. Instead, Indiana is showing us something much darker than bad plays. This has turned into a physical, public power struggle. Welcome to WNBA Pro, where we skip the fluff and tell the hard truth. We aren't here to play nice with the narrative. The media lies are ending today. We are dissecting viral footage that has sent shockwaves through the sports world as we know it. We have undeniable video proof of Caitlin Clark physically tearing her arm away from head coach Stephanie White on the bench. She also dodged Brianna January. We are looking at the yanking, the constant nagging, and a truly poisonous team dynamic. This mean girls culture is gutting the team from the inside. Today, the gloves are coming off for good. It is time to say what the media won't admit. Caitlin Clark needs to find an exit and leave Indianapolis behind. She has to get out now. Let's break down the footage that has fans ready to riot because this is definitely not an isolated incident. We are seeing a pattern of physical intimidation and mental sabotage that has happened over 5 times already. Just look at the rest of the league. How do coaches treat their superstars elsewhere? You never see anyone grabbing LeBron James and spinning him around like a child. Would any coach aggressively point fingers in the face of Luka Doncic or Giannis Antetokounmpo? Not a chance. Has Becky Hammon ever yanked Aja Wilson or scolded her like a toddler during a high-stakes game? Absolutely not, because it's unheard of. Real coaches respect elite talent. They know a superstar is a partner, not a servant to be handled or disciplined physically. But in Indiana, it is a different story entirely. It feels like the staff is on a desperate, pathetic mission to bring Caitlin Clark back down to earth. They want to prove to the world that she isn't as special as she looks. It is pure jealousy disguised as coaching. It is envy. And it's totally unprofessional. Now, let's look at the most damning clip from the game last night. Caitlin walks toward the bench, and Stephanie White reaches out, firmly grabbing the star player by her arm. She tries to pull her in, but without missing a beat, Clark aggressively rips her hand away from the coach. Her body language says it all. Get your hands off me. She's completely done with the physical overstepping. Caitlin Clark literally snatched her arm back. She was basically screaming at Stephanie White to back the hell off. And Stephanie's reaction is just as bad. Get your hands off me, get away. Yeah, she knows it. Get those hands off her right now. What is this? You think this is high school? You aren't Bobby Knight, Stephanie. You will never be Bobby Knight. You couldn't even shine his shoes, let alone coach like him. You aren't even in the same league. You couldn't iron his clothes or prep his game. Just look at the pure disrespect in that interaction. Look at the defiance in her face. Caitlin rips her arm away because she has finally reached her limit. Stephanie White immediately panics. She looks at her with sheer venom because her star player refused to be controlled like a pet in public. You think you can yank a generational superstar on national TV to prove you're the boss? You have lost your mind. You are a mid-tier coach with a massive ego problem. Honestly, you aren't even fit to prep a legendary coach for a real game. You are driving a Ferrari like it's a cheap rental. You don't build a winning team by trying to physically dominate the woman saving your entire league. But this isn't just the head coach. This toxic energy has spread through the entire assistant coaching staff as well. This is a culture of intimidation from the top down. It has been happening since day one. Let's look back at how this pattern began. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. Remember when Caitlin Clark was doing her thing, hyping up the crowd and getting everyone in the building rowdy? And here comes the coach. Right on cue. Grabbing her. What is the goal here? Why stop her? You can't show too much emotion, Caitlin. Everyone is going to get upset with you now. Apparently, showing passion is a crime. You are showing everyone else up. What are we doing here? Honestly, they try to kill the player's fire. Early on, we saw the signs. Caitlin was just doing what she does. She was bringing electric energy to the arena, and out of nowhere, the coach comes out to pull her back. They were trying to put out her fire. They told her she needed to tone down the emotion immediately. They said she was showing people up. You don't pull back a generational talent when they are carrying the entire team. She was carrying the whole arena on her shoulders, but the Indiana staff just couldn't handle her being the main attraction. As the season rolls on, the frustration on that sideline is reaching a boiling point. The micromanagement is suffocating. Every single game feels like a psychological war. Just constant heated arguments and bickering back and forth on the bench. Screaming matches everywhere. Stephanie White just keeps pointing and pointing at her like that, pointing her finger like some annoying schoolyard bully. It is just non-stop, nagging and nagging. Witness this toxic, heated back and forth on the Indiana sideline right now. Look at Stephanie White, pointing, lecturing, and nagging like some kind of irritated neighbor. It is annoying. She acts like a hostile principal. This is not coaching. It is an ego trip designed to break her down. It is a repetitive attempt to belittle the biggest star in women's basketball. Caitlin just stands there, taking it all. She is forced to endure constant finger-pointing from leaders who should be lifting her up. Even assistants join in. They are happy to join the bullying. New footage shows assistant coach Brian January lying in wait for Caitlin Clark. As she heads to the bench, January reaches out, grabs Clark's arm, and forcefully swings her entire body around. She gets right in her face, screaming and pointing. It seems like these coaches simply cannot help themselves anymore. And here is Brigand January, snatching Caitlin Clark by the arm. Let me spin you around and scream in your face. These coaches are really tripping. Seriously, look at the way she aggressively yanks her around in front of everyone. Look at that physical aggression. These coaches are on a massive power trip, and they do not even hide it. Clark is forced to physically pull away from her own staff just to catch her breath. Think about the sheer madness of what we are seeing here. Do you see this level of physical yanking or aggressive touching with any other superstar in professional sports today? Does Eric Spoelstra grab Jimmy Butler like that? Does Steve Kerr aggressively yank Stephen Curry around on the Warriors sideline? No, you do not see this anywhere else, not in the NBA or the WNBA. Professional coaches show their superstars some respect. They do not grab or yank their players. They do not treat an international icon like some unruly teenager in a high school hallway. This forces us to ask an uncomfortable, controversial question, one that nobody else in the sports media has the courage to voice. Why is Caitlin Clark the only player on the Indiana Fever roster getting manhandled by this staff? Why do they never yank the others? Why do they never aggressively put their hands on the other teammates? Why is the girl from Iowa the only target? Is she the only one they feel comfortable yanking on national television? Do they think her polite demeanor makes it okay? Do they believe they can just knock her down a peg? Are they trying to diminish her greatness like this? Do they physically control her because she will not fight back? The reality is terrifying. This is like the movie Mean Girls in real life. This is Regina George culture. You have a coaching staff and a front office that are deeply insecure, envious, and jealous. They are threatened because a 24-year-old rookie is infinitely more skilled than they ever were. She is more popular and generates every dollar of this franchise's value. They are actively trying to snuff out her fire. Look at how deep this toxicity goes during games. We all remember when Caitlin Clark and Brianna January got heated on the bench. Wow, I forgot how much fire this clip actually had. Just unreal. Yeah, remember that? There is a whole lot of this going on behind the scenes. It keeps happening. Look at that bench. The tension is so thick you could cut it with a sharp knife. Clark and Brianna January are heated on the bench again. This footage tells you everything you need to know about this team's internal collapse. Caitlin is isolated. She hits a majestic logo 3 and brings the crowd to their feet in Indiana. And when she walks past Stephanie White, she gives a quick, blind high five without making any eye contact at all. Why? Because Clark knows that hitting a brilliant shot means White will immediately bench her. They are trying to suppress her stats and halt her momentum. Even in the press conferences, the hostility is palpable. Reporters ask about Caitlin's resilience and her performance. White completely fails to credit her. She refuses to give her any praise at all for the big win. She is literally allergic to giving Caitlin Clark her flowers. Why? Because she represents everything this Indiana Fever front office is not. Kelly Krauskopf, Amber Cox, and the ownership group have intentionally recreated that old 2016 Indiana Fever regime. They brought back the old guard and the old coaches specifically to put number 22 in her place. They want to prove a point. They want to show her she is not bigger than the league. They will even lose games to do it. They would play in empty arenas just to win an internal power struggle against their own superstar. The Fever organization knows deep down in their heart of hearts that Caitlin Clark will walk out the second her contract finally allows it. They realize she is leaving them stranded at the prom. That is why their marketing team is desperately pushing bench players, subbing in names like Raven Johnson while ghosting Caitlin Clark on social media. They are scrambling to build a brand without her, because they know the bridge is already burned. Now, they are just bracing for her inevitable departure. They treated her like an enemy, not a savior. If you are a real Caitlin Clark fan, you have to stop rooting for the Fever. This franchise simply does not deserve her. They show zero respect while fostering a hostile and physically aggressive workspace for the game's biggest star. Caitlin needs to find an exit strategy immediately. She needs to demand a trade or start counting down her final days, until she signs with a real organization that treats a superstar with dignity. Her loyal fan base will follow her wherever she heads next. Then the Indiana Fever can go back to playing for 4,000 people like before she arrived. What do you make of this viral footage? Are Stephanie White and Brianna January crossing the line by yanking Caitlin Clark on the sidelines? Is it officially time for Clark to demand a trade from Indiana? Drop your unfiltered thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one. If you want the raw truth about these toxic politics and the real drama of the WNBA that mainstream networks try to censor, smash that subscribe button right now. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a deep dive. The boiling point has officially been reached in this story. The resistance will not back down. This is WNBA Pro. We will see you in the next video.